I am so privileged today to introduce to you Julia McCoy. She's an author, creator of a business called Content Hacker, and at that business she built from scratch, entering the new era of artificial intelligence, and then sold it for seven figures. She is known as one of the top content marketers in the world and a leading voice in AI. Congratulations for having your article published in Authority magazine recently, titled Strategies for Rebuilding Life After Trauma. Your business success is indisputable, but what is so astonishing is that you survived one of those horror growing up in a cult stories that defies description. You say in the article that in your teens you began to realize that the family and the circumstances of that cult that controlled you were not healthy. Having never had a healthy example, how did you recognize that this cult was unhealthy?
Great question. Well, it's great to be here with you, Nancy. I'm honored.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yes. Yeah, I would say I just had a light bulb moment where I think something turned on that was probably the culmination of me turning 21, becoming aware, self-aware, and then starting to question things. And so it was just like this light bulb moment that really it was triggered whenever something backfired on my dad. He gave me this letter for my 21st birthday. And as you originally said, there was so much trauma in this environment. And so I was used to it. But whenever my 21st birthday rolled around, he did something he'd never done before. Again, his whole purpose was to just break my siblings and I, make us into these mindless, completely controllable human beings. So that was always his goal. But this particular deed backfired on him. So he wrote me a letter for my 21st birthday and he said I shouldn't have been born. I was a disgrace to him. And this was
Oh,
after I had like given all 21 years of my life in service of his church and just like bent over backwards. And so I read that and I was just like, hmm. And that's when the light bulb started to turn on where I began to question, like, is this really how I should be treated? Is this really what a parent does to their child? Is this really love? So that whole letter that was supposed to further control me completely backfired on him. And it made me question, like, what the hell am I in the middle of? And that's when my eyes really began to open and I began to see things for what they were instead of the way he wanted me to see them.
gosh, I think you must have had some divine help to have that
Oh, amen.
mission,
Yes.
to view it from a completely different point of view than you'd been used to. What gave
Yes.
you the courage and the vision to leave at age 21 and take your older sister with you?
It was really a moment that followed that original light bulb where it was definitely supernatural where I just was like, okay, I think I'm gonna get out. And then I made the plans and made all these plans right under their noses. I was surprised how we were just able to plan this without repercussion. Because I know if they found out, like my sister and I had talked about this, we would have been locked in our rooms. Like measures would have been taken if they knew we were headed out to completely stop us, take away my car, for example. So somehow we were able to plan this whole escape right under their noses. Like pack up our things, put our things in the car. I was walking right past my mom's room. She was joking, "Are you moving out?" And I was like, I'm like, no, I'm donating clothes. Okay, you're good. But it was supernatural again. Like to that point, I think that's really true. Like there was a divine hand on my life because there's no way I could have just gotten away with that unless it was meant to be. And so it was just, a moment of courage that I didn't really look back on. I was, I'm gonna do this. And then I just kept going and then I got out.
Well, there was a loving divine presence that was certainly creating a path for you, not
Yes.
only, physically, but in your own mind.
Mm.
You
Yes.
started your business a few years before you left. I'm surprised you were given the freedom to earn and save money.
That was because they took about 80% of that money.
8%.
Yes, 80%.
And you still had saved enough to buy a car and
Yes.
have a few dollars to get out.
Yeah, I really didn't have much when I got out. I was down to a few $100, but I knew I could make money in a few days just through writing. So I was really hopeful. I was like, okay, I actually have a reliable income stream as a freelance writer that I know it's like printing cash. Like I just take a writing job, immediately get
Oh
paid.
gosh,
Mm.
that is so incredible that you built that kind of confidence in yourself in the
Hmm.
midst of such, devastating control.
Hmm.
Met someone through your writing business that eventually became your husband. It's amazing that you didn't follow the pattern imprinted on you and choose an abusive partner.
Hmm.
What is he like and how did he contribute to your healing?
Yes, that is so true. Well, he was just the total opposite of everything I'd known, which to me was really refreshing. Because the last thing I wanted was to go back into that dungeon. It was just like darkness every day. And I saw what my mom went through. I didn't want any part of that. And I knew that when I was like 5, 6, 7. I was like, woof, I can't imagine being married to him. And I
Wow.
just knew, like, I don't want that. And so I knew what I didn't want, which made the picture of what you should have very, very clear to me. And so I just leaned into that. And then when I met this person, it was like totally divinely orchestrated. He was the first person I opened up to what life was really like at home. And I was like, I feel like I'm in a place where I probably need to get out. And he was like, what? And so I started telling him, like, I'm in a cult. And he's like, what? And he was like, he created such a safe space for me to share that. And instead of like judging or saying, well, they're your parents, you sure you should leave them, you owe them, any of that, he said, well, what do you actually want? And it was the first time anyone had ever asked me that.
Yeah,
So I was
right.
like, wow, it was such a healthy question.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yes.
You list 5 important choices that helped you heal. One of them, well, first of all, you could certainly have chosen bitterness and continued victimhood, but
Hmm.
instead you chose gratitude. What role has gratitude played in your healing journey?
Yeah, that's a big one. I've seen the effects of being a victim play out, sadly in my sister, who's 2 years older than me, and she lives in a consistent daily habit of I'm a victim. What can I get from you? Like she will live with people until they kick her out to avoid paying rent. And it's all from a place of, well, I'm a victim. Yeah, I deserve better. I'm entitled to this because I've suffered so much. And so I've seen firsthand, like that has left her in a place where she lost her marriage, she lost custody of her kid, and she's been in jail and now like has nothing to her name. And I'm just like, I don't want that. Like I want so much more out of life. And so to get more out of life, you have to choose healing. You have to choose to be the better person because being a victim, that's easy. It's just like it's giving up. It's easy. But being stronger than a victim, that's so hard. So I've chosen that route where, okay, I think I have a toxic behavior coming up today. I'm going to stop, reassess. I'm going to put the blame on myself, not on that person. And I'm going to work to heal. And it's taken 10 years and I know I'm still not fully healed. Like I'm learning so much about myself still and how further I can go. But to me, gratitude has been the biggest mindset enabler for me to be able to actually go pursue my dreams. And whether it was like, one of my goals was to be a millionaire at 30. And I hit that at 31 and I was so excited. And the reason like I'm able to achieve these dreams, of course, is God's hand on my life. And then secondly, just having that daily perspective of gratitude. Whenever I get up, the first thing I do is I meditate, pray, read the word, and journal out any thoughts that I have. And I try to reframe everything from a perspective of what do I see as really good in my life? And you can always find something, no matter where you're at, always find something good. And if you just find that one good thing, it changes your perspective. And I
Yeah.
think that success, it's almost like a magnet. It's drawn to the people that are thankful for what they have already because
Yeah.
it's really hard to step into massive levels of success and The biggest stages, the greatest talks you've given, the greatest books, the greatest interviews you've ever held. It's hard to step into that if you're not already thankful for what you've done in life. So that's where I just start from every day.
I so believe you and have found that experience to be true in my own life as well. Thank you so much
Mm,
for sharing about how, what a magnificent place gratitude
mm.
in your life.
Yes, glad to hear that.
Instead of following the pattern of your childhood and only giving love when certain standards are met, you are very intentional about loving unconditionally. What does that look like in relationship to your two children?
Yes, I love that question. So, it's just creating a atmosphere, especially in the home, where they know like there's nothing they could do that would make mom like turn them out of doors or get them pushed away from me. Like there's nothing at all I could ever do, whether it's something crazy. So we talk about everything. And Jana's in fifth grade now, and she'll bring home like so much drama to talk about. And there's never judgment. Like if she heard a bad word or participated in something that she shouldn't have, I never ever shame her. Like that's me as number one because I was shamed for everything. Whether it was like the color of my shirt that made me look like a whore, like the things my dad would say to me were horrible. And so I really want Jana to grow up with a sense of completeness and wholeness versus, oh, I'm broken, something is missing. I'm so messed up, which was what I took away when I turned 18. That was a terrible way to enter adulthood. So for me, creating that space for them at home is like really important. There's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can't talk about. There's nothing you could um, create that has a consequence of you getting shamed and not getting love. So that's why that is so critical in our home.
You are changing the history of you're building a legacy for your children that is
Mm,
very, very different than the one that you inherited.
yes,
Is
yes,
that's something to rejoice about, isn't it?
yes, that is. Oh my
Very
goodness,
beautiful
that's
point.
amazing.
You can learn more about Julia McCoy's amazing story from her book titled Woman Rising, A True Story, available on Amazon. Or you can reach her at Julia at content@scale.ai. I have so much respect for you, Julia,
Thank
for the
you.
choices you've made, for the journey that you are taking forward. None of us are through healing. You know,
Mm.
we I'm almost 80 years old and I'm still in the process of healing myself. So
Wow, you're doing amazing for almost 80. Are you kidding? I think you're 60.
thank you so
Wow.
anyway, it's been such a pleasure meeting you. I hope we get to meet in
Hmm.
person someday. But
Yes.
thank you so much for spending some time with me this morning.
Yes, thank you, Nancy. This has been such a delight. You made my day. I love the interview and I love the follow-up questions. So this has been a treat for me too.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that. I hope the rest of your day is wonderful.
Thank you. You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.